I've been trying to tell this story for 30 years, and the dominant experience I've had is seeing the new evidence come in, at first month by month and week by week. Now there are studies every day practically, and it just keeps getting clearer and stronger.
America's on the verge of technological breakthroughs that will enable us to live our lives less dependent on oil. And these technologies will help us be better stewards of the environment. And they will help us to confront the serious challenge of global climate change.
Now to a new report on global warming from a prestigious panel of scientists convened by the UN. The findings are blunt. Climate change is happening. It will lead to tremendous changes around the world that could have a very negative impact on the well-being of people, animals, and entire ecosystems.
The evidence is sufficient that we should move towards the most effective possible steps to reduce carbon loading of the atmosphere.
Well, I think we have to accept the view that scientists have, that there is global warming and that human operation, human condition contributes to that.
I think the risks of climate change are real, and that you're seeing climate change. I think human activity is contributing to it.
Why has it taken so long, Senator?
Special interests. It's a special interest. It's that utility companies and the petroleum companies and the other special interests, they're the ones that have blocked progress in the Congress of the United States and in the administration. That's a little straight talk.
We don't always see eye to eye, do we, Newt?
No, but we do agree our country must take action to address climate change.
I believe that climate change is real.
It's not just a greenhouse gas issue, it's a national security issue. We have an obligation to future generations to take action and fix it.
The Senate is going to do something today, beginning a debate on global warming, a comprehensive bill to deal with climate change that is favorably reported out of a Senate committee.
The yeas are 48, the nays are 36. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
I believe that man's activities certainly can be contributing to the issue of global warming, climate change. Here in Alaska, the only Arctic state in our union, of course, we see the effects of climate change more so than any other area.
I think most members think that the climate change is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. The question is, how do you address it? And we've never gotten into the debate and the discussion about the consequences of trying to deal with it.
We need to ultimately make clean, renewable energy the profitable kind of energy. So I ask this Congress to send me legislation that places a market-based cap on carbon pollution and drives the production of more renewable energy in America.
A sweeping climate change bill that's a top item on President Obama's agenda passed narrowly in the House of Representatives last night.
Only 8 Republicans crossed the aisle to vote with most Democrats for the bill. 44 Democrats joined most Republicans in voting against it.
Stolen emails from top researchers were posted online. Global warming skeptics saying those emails suggest that scientists may have worked together to manipulate global warming data. Defenders say those emails are being used out of context.
President Obama has said that people are justified in being disappointed by the outcome of the Copenhagen Climate Change Conference last week. In an interview on U.S. television, Mr. Obama acknowledged that nothing had been done to achieve a significant cut in greenhouse gases. But he said that the non-binding agreement reached in Denmark was better than nothing.
Top U.S. scientists urged drastic action today to slow global warming. For the first time, the National Academy of Sciences called for a specific change in climate policy. It recommended a carbon tax on fossil fuels or a cap-and-trade system for greenhouse gas emissions.
Senate Democrats pushed the climate bill off the table and into a very uncertain future ahead of November's midterm elections.
And I'll take dead aim at the cap-and-trade bill.
The Republican takeover of the House is likely to change the political climate on the issue of global warming.
And it is safe to say that the president's cap-and-trade legislation, that whole idea, is virtually dead.
House Republicans say they will scrap the Select Committee on Global Warming. Speaker-designate John Boehner called the panel, quote, a forum to promote Democrats' job-killing national energy tax, also known as cap and trade.
But when you have over 90% of the world's scientists who have studied this, stating that climate change is occurring and that humans play a contributing role,
it's time to defer to the experts.
Listen, when you make comments that fly in the face of what 98 out of 100 climate scientists have said, when you call into question the science of evolution, all I am saying is that in order for the Republican Party to win, we can't run from science.
The science is not settled on this. And I tell somebody, I said, just because you have a group of scientists that have stood up and said, here is the fact, Galileo got outvoted for a spell.
My view is that we don't know what's causing climate change on this planet, and the idea of spending trillions and trillions of dollars to try and reduce CO2 emissions is not the right course for us.
The White House today finalized new gas mileage standards that would eventually double the fuel efficiency of new cars and trucks to an average 54.5 miles per gallon by 2025.
Obama can't get through climate change legislation, so the EPA is going to use its authority to do what it can in that regard.
President Obama promised to begin to slow the rise of the oceans. And to heal the planet. My promise is to help you and your family.
74% of U.S. Senate Republicans publicly question the science of global warming.
But this is a challenge that does not pause for partisan gridlock. It demands our attention now.
The age of the dinosaurs was dramatically warmer than this is right now, and it didn't cook the planet. And in fact, life was fine.
Are you convinced that climate change is man-made?
Well, I don't know that that is a resolved issue in science today.
You do not think that human activity, the production of CO2, has caused warming to our planet?
I do not believe that human activity is causing these dramatic changes to our climate the way these scientists are portraying it.
Do you believe in man-made climate change? Democrats, 83% say yes. Republicans, 36% say yes. It is now more divisive than abortion.
It has in recent years become ideology. It's become partisan.
The Obama administration has just rolled out a new rule to cut carbon dioxide emissions from power plants. The proposal from the Environmental Protection Agency cuts CO2 emissions by 30% by 2030. Some Democrats in coal mining states want him to hold off until after the midterm elections in November.
The world's top climate panel has issued its direst appeal to date on the need to stop global warming. In a new report, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says continued emissions of greenhouse gases will cause further warming and long-lasting changes in all components of the climate system, increasing the likelihood of severe, pervasive, and irreversible impacts.
Scientists report that 2014 was the hottest year in recorded history for the planet, and that dates back to 1880.
Satellite data demonstrate for the last 17 years there's been zero warming, none whatsoever.
We are seeing these horrible the reports are now in Palmyra. They're executing people and leaving their bodies in the streets. Meanwhile, the President of the United States is saying that the biggest enemy we have is climate change.
We've had one record-setting year after another as far as the heat on this planet. So
I don't buy that, Joe.
What do you mean you don't buy it?
I just don't buy the fact. I don't buy the fact that it's a crisis. I don't buy the fact that it's a crisis. I just don't.
I think that there'll be little change here. It'll go up. It'll get a little cooler. It'll get a little warmer, like it always has for millions of years. It'll get cooler. It'll get warmer. It's called weather. I think it's a big scam for a lot of people to make a lot of money.
In my first inaugural address, I committed this country to the tireless task of combating climate change and protecting this planet for future generations. 2 weeks ago in Paris, I said before the world that we needed a strong global agreement to accomplish this goal. An enduring agreement that reduces global carbon pollution and sets the world on a course to a low-carbon future. A few hours ago, we succeeded.
The question now, is this agreement just paper, Or will it lead to crucial steps needed to make it something truly historic?
Feeling the heat? So is planet Earth. Federal scientists announced today that 2015 was the warmest year on record, with land and ocean temperatures nearly 2 degrees above average.
A major setback tonight for President Obama's climate change initiative.
The U.S. Supreme Court stepped in to put the centerpiece of President Obama's climate change agenda on hold, pending the outcome of judicial appeals in the lower courts.
Trump's statement comes just a couple days after he released his first energy plan. He says he would, quote, cancel the Paris climate deal and promote more fossil fuels in the United States.
Donald thinks that climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. I think it's real. Please, we cannot keep sending climate deniers and defeatists to Congress or state houses, and certainly not to the White House.
NASA and NOAA scientists today declared 2016 the hottest year on record.
Out of the 17 hottest years on record, 16 have occurred since 2000.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. Thank you.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel called it extremely regrettable. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called it disheartening. And the Vatican went further, saying Mr. Trump's decision was a disaster for everyone.
Meanwhile, President Trump is ending Obama's signature environmental policy that limits carbon emissions from power plants that burn coal. Speaking to an audience in Kentucky yesterday, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt said that the regulation violated federal law and declared that the war on coal is over.
2017 was the third warmest year on record. The 6 hottest years have all been since 2010.
The window of opportunity to prevent global climate chaos is not yet closed. But according to a landmark report, it will require action on an unprecedented scale.
The message is over to governments at this stage. We've told you the scientific facts, the evidence, the costs. It is up to the governments now to decide what to do with it.